Butira come back again. Josephine, Godfather, in that order, 3 minutes each.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting this space. Thank you, Daktari, for giving us this this strength and keeping on encouraging us to move forward. Also, I want to appreciate Mr. Steve. I've just heard what you have been sharing. It's worth it, and we need to stand for ourselves. I want to bring this clearly. I think if I had it clearly, we need to start reading between the lines, because by Mr. Kindiki being awarded the position of the deputy president, actually it came with an insult. And actually, if we were keen enough, President Ruto decided to throw the gadget of the killing to Mr. Kindiki. If everybody had it well, he said that to Wameru, huwa ukimwambia akakate mtu huwa anakata, then anakuja kukwambia kwa nini nilimkata. So actually what he was trying to tell us, in other words, he sent him to go and kill the Gen Zs, and then now he comes later to us and he's like he's awarding him for that. That's how I captured it myself. Another thing is that I don't even understand why we keep on pushing and thinking that we have members of parliament, while when we invented the parliament and we took back our powers, and the MPs in office right now, I would say they are controversial, because that's why they are passing their own things and bringing their own things in the parliament, not the things for the citizens. What am I saying? I am sure Dr. Meguna, what he's saying is something very important that can help us. And I've been trying to articulate this, saying, can we gather together any information that you have? Because we are only talking, but we do not have any written document which we can stand against and put it before and say, these are our complaints as citizens of Kenya, where we are saying Ruto doesn't deserve to be our president. And upon doing that, once we capture everything, we will be having very many opportunities to present ourselves and our grievances, which are properly articulated and properly written, whereby we shall unhook ourselves. In a revolution, you can use any dimension, but by the end of the day, the key goal is actually getting what we want. And that's my prayer. I want to appreciate, and Dr. Meguna, I'll be speaking to you in your DM, and I want to ask a few questions. Then from there, I can also get a direction on what I'm doing way forward. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Josephine. I would like to say that I'm very keen on mental health and prevention. So I did not, with the area you dropped, let me try to add you, because actually it's yours, queuing. So I will not, I'd like to really just pass that question or the comment you stated that was apparently made by the president. I stopped listening to him directly after he threatened Kenyans. I said that this is not something I just need to do. I can respect myself. So what I do is probably just read the recorded speech later. So that I would leave for somebody to chime on in later. But as we move forward, let's talk about solutions too. Mudiore, over to you.
Well, thanks for having me back again, Madge, and for the patience of all those who couldn't hear me. So I have a few things to say, and that is, we have been in touch with most of the leading voices who came out during the Gen Z protest, and I wish to state here so all can know that Kenyans have still been active, even though we, in a way, left the streets. We have active social movements which have been conducting civic education, political education, and just basically trying to raise the awareness of the people. There is a coalition of social movements that goes by the name of National Coalition of the People's Assemblies, and the document that has brought these coalitions together has been one with a minimum program that agrees as to why Ruto must go. And there are 13 reasons that these member organizations, and amongst reasons, ranking top is one thing that indicts Kithure Kindiki's appointment to be Kenya's deputy president, which is he went out there and killed innocent Kenyans who were just agitating for accountability and good governance for their country. So, yes, we do not have the energy where it was back in June, but then Kenyans have not given up, even though they are not in the streets. They are trying to get more people to understand why we must all engage. So let us all focus, because where we are at right now is we have a former ICC suspect and his representative in that court, that's Professor Kithure Kindiki, leading our country. You know what happens when a client approaches a lawyer, and that is they confess as to whether they have done that which they have accused of. So Kithure Kindiki understands his boss well. He knows what his boss has done, what his boss is capable of doing. And so these are people who will not even need to have a meeting to decide on what to do to preserve themselves. They came together and they preserved William Ruto. He survived against the ICC case. And then as a cabinet secretary in charge of interior and internal security, he again moved and did everything to preserve the William Ruto presidency. So when we are asked about the state of our nation, it has never been as bad as it is today. True, there may be need for us to take a step back to re-strategize. But then we must know that if we gave a lot in June, then we'll need a lot more to get these people out of office, because they have a bit of experience with regard to how to counter how Kenyans have been organizing. But then, take it from me, people are more aware as to what the task is, who the enemy is. What we need to keep doing is to make sure that those who are still in doubt get to believe that they've been fooled before and they'll be fooled again, because the people in charge are masters in the game of deception. So, a luta continua, this is the war we must win. Because if you are to have that country that our forefathers fought for, this system has to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mutiara, for the very good submission there. Yes, we need to look at the things that are happening now and find a way of really moving forward with solutions. And with that, I give the Godfather, Fabian, and Calvin, and Charles, and Lukman in that order, 3 minutes each. And Professor Kivuta Kibwana, you're still on. Feel free to pick the mic and chime in. Winal Daktari, should you want to chime in at any point, just let me know, and then we will just take it on. The Godfather.
Thank you much, Daktari, for being with us here, for hosting us as we look at the state of the nation today in this conversation with Dr. Jando Mbuna. And it is such a hard time to be a Kenyan to speak. Reflecting on the events of the first few weeks, so to speak, which takes us to maybe some reflections as well as questions. So the reflections could be, did it do anything wrong at any given time in the movement as to warrant why we are still here, sort of like a quagmire? We have not made many progress past the June 25th. That's more of a reflection than a question. I also think we made so many enemies after June 25th. Could that be something that may have affected or has affected the effectiveness of the movement such that it has been sort of lukewarm. Then we go to the governance. The rallying call of the movement has been Ruto must go. Is this a realistic endgame? Timelines for particular events that should happen? Or is it galvanize the movement toward maybe a political formation that could be used toward General 27? And lastly, do we still need parliament? Now that we don't need parliament, do we work with the government to at least have the IBC restructured before we can maybe exercise our powers as citizens to recall these members of parliament? Or do we simply make noise from the streets, including in states like this one, hoping miracles to happen? Because at the end of the day, we need to have some practical actions that should bring forth tangible results that we can say, yes, we have lost quite a number of people in this movement, this revolution, but these are some of the tangible results. These are the things that we can take home and say it was worthwhile, as much as nothing really should be compared to human life, but at least in the long run, we need to be happy and say, yes, we lost some of our soldiers on the way. However, we have managed to achieve a few things that we could say the movement has achieved moving forward as we do an overhaul of the system. Thank you for now, Madge, as we will be continuing the conversation.
Thanks so much, the Godfather. Yes,
Madge, is it possible for me to intervene at this time for a short part, just briefly?
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, because I think he's raised a lot of questions that I would just want to address briefly, and many people can also contribute. So, number one, I don't think there was a mistake that people made. I think we have to be very clear about that.
Madge, we can't hear you.
No, can you hear me?
It's not me speaking, Godfather. It's Dr. speaking, and we can hear him. If you cannot hear him, please log out and come back because he's already responding to you. Kindly continue, Dr.
So, okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. This is a protracted struggle, like all struggles. We have to understand that. We have to appreciate the fact that a struggle is not a wedding procession. It's not a straightforward path. It's not something that you say, I set off at 8 a.m. and I am going to arrive at 2 p.m. That's not the way the struggle is. Because the people that you are struggling against, the system that you are trying to overhaul, is an entrenched one, is one that has been there for more than 80 years. It was started by the British. They handed it over to their puppets, and their puppets have institutionalized it. And they have weapons, they have intelligence, they have a system, they have a civil service, they have a state. They are trying to protect this. So you don't expect to walk in and walk out. So that's the first thing we have to appreciate. These people look at it as if you are taking food literally from their mouths. They believe they are entitled to whatever it is that they are doing. They believe they have a right to loot. They believe they have a right to rule you, not govern you. They believe they have a right to arrest you, torture you, do every bad thing to you to preserve their power. So when you get involved in the struggle, you have to be aware of these things. And you have to be aware that it's not going to end overnight, that it can take